Resident Evil. Quite a famous franchise nowadays, and with the release of Requiem, it's as popular as it's ever been. But going back to the very beginning, it all started with this. Well, not quite with this, it started with this. But hey, they're basically the same, the remaster just got its colors killed.
Why are you
green?
Ugh.
But outside of that, it's a pretty good way to experience Resident Evil 1. And today, I'm gonna be attempting to beat
Resident Evil?
While all items and enemies are randomized, but with two additional purposes. First, save our friend, Chris Redfield, and then complete everything on the game. So to achieve this, I must find 3 discs that'll be scattered throughout the game, picking up every single item on the map, solving every puzzle, and leaving the map completely green. So let's kick this off, shall we? Alright, let's get going. Upon talking to Wesker, Jill is tasked with finding Chris, accompanied by her dear friend, Barry. So entering the dining room, we are greeted by a pretty good find, the Book of Courses. And with the Book of Courses, you get the sword key, which is the first one you get anyway, but it is welcomed. And now tasked by Barry to keep investigating, we go to another room and... I'm definitely not fighting that. So I just pinned him like I was on Dead by Daylight and continue on my way. Going back to Barry, who takes care of a zombie and proceeds to transform into a monster again. I am not fighting that. So going back to the main hall, I start searching for Wesker, who now went missing. And oh my god, Barry, I told you I'm not fighting that, man. God. So I simply run past him, and upon going back to Barry, he gives me the lockpick and his best wishes. As from now on, I'll only see him on cutscenes. Goodbye, Barry. So now, it's time to define a route. With our current items, a big chunk of the mansion is available to explore, which means more item checks, which means more progression. But I think the better strategy will be to take the nearby items first and then deviate onto another path. Right next to the main hall is the statue room, where after pushing a night table, I grab the map for the first floor of the mansion. And then, entering the art room, I claim the survival knife. But on the way out, I get ambushed by a shark. Fun nature fact, sharks can do this in real life. Don't believe me? Don't research, just believe me. So as usual, we run away. We don't have any bullets to spare right now, and using the sword key, we go to the L corridor. Grabbing the control room key, very useful if we manage to find the 4 glass bottles, and a med kit that had an individual herb. I guess we can heal the shark bite now. Going out to the herbicide check, we can see that there's an empty bottle along with a spray, 2 red herbs, and the red book, a necessary item to access plant 42. From all of this, I only grabbed the spray, as with our limited inventory slots, I simply can't carry every item I see, like in modern games, so I'll have to be very diligent with what I pick to avoid having to backtrack hundreds of times. So going to the next room, prepare to leave behind whichever item I find. I drain the bathtub, and after an accidental step on an evil resident, I claim the oh my god. Forget everything I said. I'm taking this. Now, armed with the Magnum, the sky is the limit. Well, not quite, the ammo is, but honestly, who cares? If I want a room cleared, this gun will do it. But for now, it's probably better to conserve the ammo. So dodging a zombie, I enter the item box room, where I pick a dagger and some handgun ammo, which should be really useful since I'm going to store the Magnum ammo for now. Actually, I probably don't even need a gun. I mean, I have the survival knife, so let's give it a try and see. That's what I get for trying to be cheap. Back to the item box you go. This time I dodge the enemies, and upstairs, in the room all the way to the back, I get a pretty good find with the stone and metal object, which is the first one needed to access the lab. But most importantly, for now, it gets us access to the courtyard, expanding the potentially explorable zones and giving us a pretty big item logic. Now, for those of you who don't know, this type of mods work by generating a seed that is always completely beatable. Basically, what the generator does is put itself in your place, thinking about what is reachable within the items that it's giving you, ensuring you never get soft-locked out of any items, even if you need to run a marathon to find something useful for progression. And it usually never fails to do it correctly. So let's just hope that's not our case. Running past a zombie, we unlock the door to another corridor, grabbing some ink ribbons and herbs. Lots of herbs. And I make my way to the other wing of the mansion, where I get surprised by yet another flying shark. This can happen in real life, guys, believe me. There's even a movie that explains it. Anyway, after taking the poor creature out of its misery, I push the statue to the ledge and let it fall, granting us a not so useful stun gun. But we cleared another item check, so it's alright. And believe me, I gotta clear a lot of those. So going to the graveyard, I claim the oh my god. Alright, I'm still not gonna use it. I'm not gonna use it. Okay. Making use of the stone and metal object, I open the door to the courtyard, grabbing a herb, a spray, and some shotgun shells. Then we solve a really interesting puzzle and we make our way through the forest, reaching a cabin where we pick even more green herbs. Inside, we pick the courtyard map and some magazine rounds. Nothing too great, but a welcome addition. Oh my, what the hell is that? Anyway, I'm not sticking around to find out. Going all the way back to the entrance, I enter the garden and I immediately get comboed by not one, not two, but 3 crimson heads that make it impossible for me to grab the items on the room. You know what? I have the ammo. Let's just use the magnum. With most rooms on the right side cleared, it's time to go clear the left rooms. Going back to the shark room, I grab the self-defense gun and using the sword key and the lockpick, I access the balcony, a necessary area that'll come in handy once I get the dog whistle. Going back in, I take the magnum for a spin just because. And I get to the second safe room of the mansion. Outside, using the lockpick, once again, I get a dagger for self-defense and 6 ink ribbons, more than enough to be safe for the rest of the run. Going out to the mirror room, I get ambushed by 2 hunters. Thankfully, I had the magnum in hand, although I'm starting to drain my ammo economy. Nah, that's a problem for future me. Making my way through the room, I find on the golden arrow spot the helmet key, which is the last of the keys you normally get, and it sets us at 2 out of 4 mansion keys. Making use of it, I get to the 3rd floor of the mansion, spotting a green herb and most importantly, the crank, which finally gets us access to the residence and nearby zones. You'd think this is a great find, and it is. But having recording this at around 2 AM, my neurons were not at the peak of their strength, so I immediately forgot it was even useful, and when leaving the area, I didn't pick it. Silly me. Upon going forward, we reach the zone where you will normally fight the John for the 2nd time. But in this case, the giant snake is gone, and on its place it's a zombie that made me miss 2 magnum shots and made me spend the self-defense gun. And all of that was for a single herb. Great. Also, going down the ladder, I pick up the broken shotgun, granting us access to the normal shotgun. But before going to its location and picking it up, I make my way to the last door that requires the sword key, finally being able to discard it. And in the kitchen itself, there wasn't anything useful, so I simply ran away from 2 spiders that hovered the area. Making use of the helmet key, I access a room on the first floor, and after using my second to last magnum bullet on a local dog, I claim the dog whistle. So without wasting any time, I make my way to the item box to empty my inventory and claim all of these good items. And on the way, I'm sadly forced to use my last magnum bullet on a crimson head who didn't even die, and finally giving an end to the magnum's lifespan. Now, stored on the item box, we replace the magnum with its younger brother, the shotgun. With this new gun in hand, I take the chance to clean past areas where we left items behind. The first of which is the empty bottle and the red book. This time, I don't make the same mistake twice, so I take down the crimson head by the stairs and making use of the helmet key again, I enter the closing walls room. And after dropping from a hole in the floor, I claim some shotgun shells and make my way into the basement. Not even a few steps in, I get attacked by more floating sharks. I'm telling you guys, this is real life stuff. Anyway, I take down the sharks in a not so pleasing way, and I grab the volume 2 book. Quite the good find if you ask me. And after taking down 2 spiders, I claim a few shotgun shells and restore power to the elevator. I thought that was it, but on the way out, I get another useful, I hope, item, one of the jewelry boxes. And after taking the elevator, I try squeezing past a crimson head, grabbing more shotgun shells, and I quickly get overrun by the enemies, forcing me to lock myself up on a closet. I use a herb to restore a little bit of HP, and I find the Wind Crest, alongside the Volume 1 book, completing the set with the Phoenix Medal. Making a run for my life, I make my way to the safe room, where I store all of the new items, and grabbing a mix of herbs to restore my HP. Now we're on a pretty decent spot, so let's speed things up. Making my way to the dog whistle, I make sure to grab the X-ray, the herb, and finally the dog whistle, which I quickly use, granting me the fake key. So without wasting any time, I go and snatch the armor key from the trap room. With this, we are set at 3 out of 4 mansion keys. Making my way into the Eagle room, I turn the lights off and collect the gallery room key for the residence, a green herb, and a spray. First, I use the armor key, and after grabbing a glass bottle, I'm forced to make a run from a hunter. I also take the chance to access the piano room. There wasn't anything good in it, but it's necessary to access it for later on. With that cleared, I go back and take down the hunters. With the 2 of them taken care of, I enter the small room on the left, collecting the 3rd glass bottle and the first ever grenade shells of the run. Using the armor key once again, I get to Richard, and after making a marathon across the map to get him the antidote, I pick a stun gun and some incendiary shells. But that's about as much as I can get from here, since I need another key to access the John boss fight, and I need the lighter to access the items on the dark room. This time, I go to the balcony, grabbing some ammo and finding one of the STARS members in a really bad shape. And by bad shape, I mean very dead. Anyway, I don't waste any time and desecrate his body, picking up the musical score. However, while going for some herbs at the end of the zone, to our surprise, he had turned into a tyrant. So I quickly grab the items, nothing useful by the way, and I try squeezing past him, and luckily we managed to escape. Limping away, I managed to return to the safe room, and to a big surprise, as our dear friend Barry had left us some supplies, some ammo and heals, but most importantly, the other half of the musical score, granting us access to an extra key and therefore to the John boss fight. So let's clear this zone, shall we? Going upstairs, I use the armor key once again, grabbing some ammo and entering the nearby room. In the golden fish hook spot, we find the first of 4 dead masks. On the next room, we grab even more handgun ammo. We also pick a herb and some much welcomed shotgun shells. Combining the 2 musical scores, a door opens on the wall, and we gain the golden emblem. With this, we can solve the clock puzzle, and we get some shotgun shells. Now there's only a few little zones with items available. Up first, the armors room. It had only a green herb. Next up, the paintings room. This room took a toll at my defense items and ammo, but I managed to take them down, and upon solving the puzzle, I get the shield key. So I arm myself with the shotgun, and I take down the crimson heads that just got up outside of the safe room. Then I go back to Richard and I make my way into the John boss fight, who didn't even spawn. I guess whatever took its spot spawned out of bounds, which is a relief, I guess. Inside, I grab a stun gun and the star crest. Now, with 2 out of 3 crests, I think it's a good time to go to the graveyard, and on the way, I spot an enemy stuck on the wall. That's it, I just found it mildly interesting. Anyway, now in the graveyard, I place the wind crest and unlock some ammo, another residence key, and a first aid spray. I leave the other crest on its place, and I continue on my way. And it's at this point that I didn't learn my lesson and died to the 3 crimson heads again. But most importantly, I remember that I had already found the crank, so I went ahead and picked it up. This time, I don't even try to fight the 3 crimson heads, lesson learned, I hope. And using the crank, I drain the pool, and after taking the elevator, picking the fuel canteen, and running past some snakes, I finally reach the residence. In here, I get greeted by a really nice surprise in the form of 6 magnum rounds. Finally getting this gun back in the game. I swear this can happen in real life. I think I have an image, hold on. After taking down the 2 sharks, I enter the safe room, claiming some ink ribbons and a spray. I also take the chance to empty my inventory, and I pick up some of the keys we've been getting. Using the residence key, I access the first room, where I claim a stun gun, a red herb, and some more handgun ammo. With that room cleared, I hop on some crates and make my way through the hallway, reaching the map for the zone, and I push some bookshelves to the side and discover a ladder going down. But that's something I'm gonna check later, as there are still rooms that need to be cleared on this level. Entering the gallery room, I immediately pick another important item in the form of the metal object, and I grab the insecticide. Inside, I pick some herbs and I leave to explore another room I had previously missed. I take down a spider using the shotgun, and just a few steps forward, I grab another important item for the future, the cylinder. This item, in combination with another, will grant us access to the lower floors of the tunnels. Now I go up the stairs, and making use of the shotgun once again, I take down the second spider that was hovering the area, granting me a few valuables, but nothing too important. I backtrack a little to grab some leftover herbs, and I clean my inventory, picking the control room key as I will need it soon after this. First though, I enter the gallery room, and upon using the code, I enter this room and I get the first MO disc, getting us one step closer to saving our dear friend Chris Redfield. But before that, we'll need to find 2 more discs, so let's keep searching. In this same room, I also pick up a stun gun, another residence key, this one for the room number 3, and a jewelry box. Upon opening it, I get a second death mask. Again, not useful right now, but necessary for the future. So I empty my inventory and grab the red book, entering the room number 3 and solving the puzzle, granting us access to the Plant 42 boss fight. I'm not gonna fight it just yet though. Now, with basically everything cleared, I can finally make my way down the ladder, where after pushing a few crates, I enter a flooded room. I don't want to waste any single bullet, so I simply run past them and I reach the control room, where I try draining all of the water, but I get stopped by an actual shark, huh? Turns out they do exist. Funny, I finally drained the water, claiming the chemical to use on plants and the map of the zone. Now with the water gone, I can go outside where I grab some grenade shells and the suncrest, which means we can finally check what's behind the Magnum item check. But before any of that, I make sure to turn the shark into sashimi and I claim some more handgun ammo. Now, with nothing more to do, I empty my inventory and I prepare to fight Plant 42. And the Magnum delivered. With that, the residence is completely cleared. There's this room missing, but I know there's nothing on it, so this zone is 100% completed. With the zone now cleared, it's time to run a marathon across the map, but at least we are rewarded with some items that Barry left for us once again. Some shotgun shells and some heals. I expected something more, but this will do. Instead, I'm gonna go clear some rooms. First up, the plant room. We use the herbicide and we open the red bulb, killing the plant and getting us access to an obscene amount of herbs. And the mask itself was a simple stun gun. Now it's time for the graveyard. So we store all of the herbs and combine some, we grab the Suncrest and we set on our way, taking down 2 zombies that were guarding the zone, and the item was another dead mask. Alright, I'm gonna clean the elevator room. And it was not worth it. Okay, what's next? The balcony. The Tyrant is an item check itself, so let's take him down. Okay. I'll also pick a lot of herbs I left behind, and I guess I'll check the dark room. Of course I forgot this was here. Alright. With this and with the metals, we can finally access the underground laboratory. So let's do that. Let's combine the metal object and the stone frame. Okay. Now, I pick the first stone and metal object from the door to the courtyard, and we can finally open this door. Oh hey Barry, what did you do? Oh, why did you do that? Alright Barry, take your gun back. Oh, it was just a spider. Now we push the 4 blocks off the edge. We take the elevator, we use the 2 metals, and we finally have reached the underground laboratory. So let's clean the zone, shall we? Here's some herbs, and would you look at that, there's an X-ray. Ooh, the red diamond. That I can use right now. I combine it with the jewelry box and I get the emblem key. For now, I'll leave it here. I don't want to do any marathon to the rest of the map. Not just yet. Instead, let's go down the stairs where... Whoa, okay, I'm not dealing with that either. And we have reached the X-ray room. Nothing important inside, but it's good to make progress. Now let's go to... Whoa, okay, there's 2 of you. Good to know. Now, in the pharmacy room, I find a really good item. The battery. This will grant us access to the tunnels. Again, I'm not gonna go there just yet. Using the computers, I open both facility doors. And I grab some ink ribbons on the shelves. I don't know why this room is still red. This always happens to me. I mean, it's probably not important. Upon entering the fuel room, I grab the fuse unit, which means the game is close to being beatable. I also finally find the lighter, and I use the first MO disc to finally save our friend Chris Redfield. On the projector room, I find the fuel capsule, and after grabbing a few handgun ammo downstairs, I remember the code and gain access to the slide filter. Very funny game. And that concludes everything I can do in the laboratory for now, which means now it's the time to finally backtrack. Before accessing the tunnels though, I'll take the chance to clear the family emblem room. We turn on the light of the room and we get 6 more magnum ammo. It always feels good to have magnum ammo. And we also find the second MO disc, getting us extremely close to saving Chris. Now we go and clear the dark room using the lighter, we take down a crimson head and we grab the last empty bottle, which isn't useful anymore. And now, with the battery in hand, to the tunnels we go. Sadly, that's as much as the crank can do, but we still have access to a lot of zones, so let's clear those. We get some acid shells, a herb, and the shaft, which we can combine with the cylinder to power the elevator. We also find some mixed herbs and a stun gun. Now we grab the cylinder from the item box and we combine it with the shaft. We power the elevator, but before going down, I explore a bit and I find Enrique. So with this floor cleared, I take the elevator to the lower floors. Oh hey Barry!
Jill, go check it out.
Of course, I'm the one who has to check it out. Thank you, Barry. Making my way inside the room, expecting to find something that will scare me down to my bare bones. I find nothing. The girl didn't spawn. I won't really miss her. I already have 2 of them on the lab. So I set to clear the zone, grabbing the most important item as of right now. The laboratory key. Which means, in combination with the capsule and the fuse unit, the game is now completely beatable. But we're still far from done. In here, I also pick up some more handgun ammo and the golden fishhook. So with this, I can finally fully clear the mansion. Good find. I now push a crate to the transport unit and send it on its way. And I get the broken flamethrower. So making use of it, I access the playground of the girl. And after running from some snakes, I'm rewarded with a blue herb. Yeah, it wasn't too great. I also pick a dagger and a stun gun. So this zone is not fully cleared, huh? Alright, let's go back. And oh, I missed an item. Well, at least now the zone is fully cleared. Now I gotta run another marathon back to the cabin, and using the golden fishhook, I access a green herb. Okay, let's get back to the lab. Now, with the laboratory key, we enter the safe room, grabbing a lot of shotgun shells and the yellow diamond. Meaning, I will have to backtrack again. But not just now. Instead, I go through the labyrinth rooms and I use the second MO disc to lower the second lever. Now, it's just a matter of finding the third. I enter the morgue and my ears are blessed by whatever the hell that sound is. Nothing hits like the sound of going deaf. And going through the vents, I find another big item. The other crank. Meaning, we can now get full access to the tunnels. And I'll have to go there, cause there isn't a single item that I know of left in this area. So we're off to backtracking yet another time. Before going to the tunnels though, I'll use the yellow diamond on the tiger statue, getting us even more grenade shells. If the grenade launcher is gonna show up, I hope it's soon. And it's running across the map time. Oh, of course the elevator isn't here. I'll just use the other one, okay. Alright, it does make sense neither are here. Last time I left both of them down. Guess I'll enter through the tunnels then. Let's get there. Oh god. No, please no. And it happened. With the crank showing after we cleaned the tunnels, this area became permanently blocked. Not a single entrance will work anymore. Remember when I was talking about item logic? Well, in this case, it technically didn't fail. The game as it is now beatable. The logic got that right. But the third MO disc is probably locked behind whatever lies past this area. I tried many things. I went all the way back to the laboratory to see if I could find the MO disc there. But of course, it wasn't there. The game simply blocked me off of getting the good ending. I simply can't save Chris. Whoa! Whoa, what's wrong, Great Mother? I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Alright, but can you at least tell me why? Okay. What is it? Oh, won't you look at that? We're on the tunnels. Great, let's wrap this up. Dodging a rock, we claim the golden arrow, finally granting us access to the coffin room on the mansion. And using the crank, we reach the boss fight with the Black Tiger. Upon defeating her, we gain some acid shells, and using the knife, we open the door and continue on our way. In here, I get the wooden mount, which I completely forgot existed, meaning this time we can actually completely clear the mansion. And dodging yet another giant rock, this should be done by Chris, not by Jill, we solve a puzzle room, getting us a green herb, and we grab some shotgun shells. Meaning the ammo disc was not here at all, but it may have been behind an item that was here. I'm putting my trust in you, Golden Arrow. Now, on the mansion again, I access the tomb, and inside, I find the blue diamond. And it's perfect. Behind the blue diamond must be the last death mask, and inside the coffin, there must be where the last ammo disc is. I can already feel that it's... What the hell am I missing then? Alright, let's clear the rest of the map. First, let's use the wooden mount. And it gave us the usual map. That's one room less. On the middle room, after taking out a dog, I got a red herb, and that's the mansion cleared. On the triple crimson headroom, there was a herb and a stone gun. I even went ahead and ran all the way to the residence to the broken controls room, where I knew there was nothing. And would you look at that, there was nothing. So I must have missed something on the laboratory. So this is my last ditch effort. Let's hope I missed something there. First, the pharmacy. Basically the only room in red. Nothing, 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 and no. Okay, I'm not even mad that I missed this, cause it means the ammo disc must be on the coffin. So I take down the spider and finally claim the last ammo disc. Where the f is it then? Alright, I'm gonna transport the fuel and I'm gonna go up the elevator. Okay, I did miss some items here, a dagger and some shotgun shells. Oh hi Wesker, you know what, I don't even care. Thank you Tyrant. And he turned into a zombie, great. Alright, let's get to the emergency exit and... You know what? I'm not even mad. I can finally save Grace. So let's get to it. Grace, my man. Oh, hold on. There's an item inside. And that's it. With this last blue herb, I have completed 100% of the map. Now it's just a matter of escaping the mansion And the only thing between freedom and us is this tyrant. So let's take him down. And that was the Resident Evil Randomizer at 100% completion. That last disc was a little bit of a headache, without a doubt, but it was ultimately beaten with Chris rescued. Quite the adventure. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.